This evening, first up, a land lease surfaces in the farm controversy gripping the nation. Documents show President Ali acquired the first 20 acres under the previous Jagdeo administration as the opposition demands his resignation. Transparency International calls for an independent probe, and Nazar Mohamed dares the president to release the alleged blackmail messages in full. Also, 99% complete, 370 towers, 82 kilometers of power line, and river crossing as tall as a 40-story building. The transmission network that will carry cheaper electricity into Guyanese homes is nearly finished, and the countdown to half-price power has begun. Then, squat on state land and face the consequences. The Attorney General announces a zero-tolerance approach, urging local councils to serve notices, go to court, and demolish illegal structures. The message: apply legally or be removed. Meanwhile, 5 new markets breaking ground within 2 weeks. Stavro getting a new heritage-conscious restoration, and border being completely rebuilt. Georgetown's most iconic shopping landmarks are in for the biggest transformation in generations. And tempers flare at the United Nations as Cuba accuses the United States of waging an energy siege against the island. The war of words is escalating on the world's biggest diplomatic stage. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for July 8, 2026. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a land lease has emerged showing that President Dr. Mohamed Ali acquired an initial 20 acres of land during the previous PPPC administration led by former President Jagdeo, as political controversy continues over his sprawling agricultural investment along the Soestdijk-Linden Highway. The disclosure comes amid mounting criticism from opposition leader Nazar Mohamed, who has called on the president to resign over what he alleges is unexplained wealth tied to the development of a massive farming and ranching operation. Mohamed claims the property spans approximately 150 acres and is worth billions of dollars, arguing that its scale cannot be justified by the president's income as a public official. President Ali has strongly rejected the allegations, maintaining that the farm was acquired long before he became president in 2020, that it was financed through commercial bank loans, and that all required declarations were made to the Integrity Commission. The president also insisted that no state resources or preferential treatment were used in developing the project, and has offered to host a public tour of the facility. The controversy has also drawn the attention of Transparency International Guyana, which is calling for an independent and impartial investigation into the president's farming enterprise. The anti-corruption watchdog says the allegations raise important questions about transparency, potential conflicts of interest, compliance with Public Integrity Act, and the possible use of state resources, warning that the matter could affect Ghana's international reputation if left unresolved. Meanwhile, tensions have escalated further after President Ali accused businessman Nazar Mohamed of attempting to blackmail him through text messages, allegedly linked to ongoing U.S. extradition proceedings involving the Mohamed family. Nazar Mohamed has denied the allegations and challenged the president to release the full communication so the public can judge their content. As the political dispute intensifies, calls continue from both sides for greater transparency, with the president standing by his explanation and critics insisting that an independent investigation is needed to determine the facts. On a different note, the infrastructure that will carry cheaper, cleaner electricity into Guyanese homes and businesses is almost ready. Guyana's gas-to-energy transmission network has reached 99% completion, marking a landmark moment in one of the most ambitious energy projects in the country's history. The update was provided by Winston Brassington, head of the Gas-to-Energy Task Force and consultant at the Ministry of Natural Resources, who confirmed that 370 transmission towers and poles have been strung, and approximately 82 kilometers of power lines have been strung across rivers, communities, and industrial corridors throughout the Demerara region. Among the most striking achievements are 4 river crossing towers spanning the Demerara River, standing as high as 150 meters, roughly equivalent to a 40-story building that carry electricity across the river via a double-circuit transmission system. The completed network includes a transmission backbone running from Wales to Côte-d'Ivoire, supported by additional corridors extending across the West Bank, Georgetown, and the East Coast. 3 new substations and upgrades at Vreeden Hope are also substantially advanced, designed to distribute electricity efficiently across the Demerara-Berbice integrated system. Once operational, the network will carry power from the new 300-megawatt plant at Wales, replacing the expensive Bunker C heavy fuel oil currently used by Guyana Power and Light to generate electricity. The project is expected to cut electricity costs by approximately half and reduce Guyana's dependency on imported fuel. The first gas turbine is expected to come online by the end of 2026, with all turbines commissioned by the first quarter of 2027 and full combined cycle operations targeted for June of 2027. Bransington noted that procurement of all transmission materials is complete, and the project has recorded more than 2 million safe person hours without a single fatality, a safety milestone as impressive as the engineering achievement itself. In other news, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlall has issued a strong warning to squatters, saying the government will intensify efforts to remove illegal occupants from state lands as complaints about squatting continues to abound across the country. Speaking during his weekly Issues in the News program, Nandlall said squatting has become one of the most common concerns raised during government outreach activities, including the recent engagement in Region 2. He stressed that while the demand for house lots often exceeds supply, delays in allocations do not justify the unlawful occupation of government lands. Describing squatting as a criminal offense, the Attorney General said the government will adopt a zero-tolerance approach and, where necessary, use legal enforcement measures to remove illegal occupants.
Government will be forced to take a strong position on this matter. We have done so before. We have a no-tolerance policy in relation to squatting. We have an aggressive housing program. We have an aggressive land distribution program in relation to agricultural and industrial lands. And we encourage citizens of our country who are qualified to make applications to benefit from these different programs in government.
Minister Nandlall noted that squatting hinders community development, contributes to flooding, and prevents the provision of essential services such as electricity and water. Nandlall also called on regional democratic councils and neighborhood democratic councils to make full use of their legal powers to remove encroachments, including serving notices, initiating court action, and demolishing illegal structures. He encouraged local authorities to retain legal counsel to help enforce the law, while acknowledging that developing house lots requires significant time and billions of dollars in investment. Nandlall urged citizens to follow the legal application process, assuring that the government remains committed to expanding housing opportunities while taking firm action against illegal occupants of public land. Stick around when we return. Stabroek to be restored, border to be rebuilt, and Ghana's relief vessel set sail for earthquake-devastated Venezuela with 88 containers of aid.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for doing surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing July 1, 2026 to produce an official list of electors OLE. If you will be 18 years or older by June 30, 2026 and you're a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors PLE in all registration divisions across Guyana for you to check whether you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can object to anyone whom you believe does not qualify for inclusion in the OLE. To do so, you must be listed in the same divisional list as the person you are objecting to. You must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to make an objection. The objections aspect of this exercise will end on Friday, July 17, 2026. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Georgetown's most iconic markets are about to undergo a major makeover as the government prepares to break ground on 5 new markets within the next 2 weeks and announces transformative plans for both Stabroek and border markets. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Priya Manichan revealed the plans during the Guyana Dialogue program, confirming that sod-turning ceremonies for 5 new market facilities are imminent, marking a significant investment in modernizing market infrastructure for vendors and shoppers nationwide. The announcement extends beyond the new builds. The historic Stabroek Market, one of Georgetown's most recognizable landmarks, will undergo extensive restoration and expansion, while Border Market will be completely rebuilt. Both projects form part of the broader Georgetown Restoration Initiative being undertaken in partnership with the King's Foundation, aimed at modernizing the capital while preserving its historic character. Minister Manichan was clear that the approach to Stabroek would be thoughtful and heritage-conscious. Detailed assessments are currently underway to determine the scope of restoration works and identify ways to expand the facility without compromising its distinctive architectural character.
Restoration is very different from construction. So I just got a report on the Stabroek Market. For the next 5 years, the Stabroek Market is going to be restored and extended, and the Border Market is going to be rebuilt completely. I can say that now. If you want to see a plan for that, you can't see it now because we're still in the process of getting the details of what restoration looks like when you're talking about something built 100 years ago. And then how do you accommodate the people who can no longer fit in this restored building by an extension that does not take away from the aesthetics of it?
Stakeholder consultation will be central to the process, with vendors, market users, and mayor and city council and other community partners to be engaged before a final master plan is finalized. The Georgetown Restoration Initiative more broadly aims to restore historic buildings, improve traffic flow, enhance walkability, preserve green spaces, and protect the city's cultural and architectural identity for future generations. In other news, Guyana has delivered on its promise. A vessel carrying 88 containers of critical humanitarian supplies has departed Kingston, Georgetown, bound for earthquake-devastated Venezuela, the result of a massive national and regional effort put together in just over a week. The multi-vessel, provided by BK Group of Companies, departed from BK Wharf on Tuesday. On board are 300 water tanks, 2 pieces of earth-moving equipment donated by Ansi McCall, pharmaceuticals, Guyanese rice and food supplies, cleaning materials, and other emergency relief items. The vessel, with a cargo capacity of approximately 1,500 tons, is expected to arrive in Venezuela within 4 days, where supplies will be distributed through an international humanitarian relief effort. The shipment represents a consolidated CARICOM response, with contributions from Grenada, the Bahamas, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Belize, and Jamaica, along with significant donations from Guyana's private sector and the local Venezuelan community. Minister responsible for Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, acknowledged the generosity of all who contributed. At the same time, Minister of Public Utilities and Aviation, Deodat Indar, credited President Dr. Mohamed Irfanali's leadership with galvanizing the response. He noted that when your neighbor faces natural catastrophe, it is only human to respond. President Ali committed that Guyana would help, and Guyana has risen to that challenge, Minister Indar added. Relief supplies were gathered from all 10 administrative regions in just over a week to fill the vessel. Venezuela was struck by back-to-back 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes on June 25th, killing more than 2,200 people and injuring over 11,000 others. Don't go away after the break. NATO summit in Ankara. Alliance announces billions of dollars in armed deals, and job vacancies fallen by 60% over past 3 years in Hong Kong.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for doing surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing July 1, 2026 to produce an official list of electors, OLE, if you will be 18 years or older by June 30, 2026, and you are a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check whether you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can make a claim for registration, change, correction to your particulars, or you can object to the inclusion of anyone whom you believe should not be on the list. If you are desirous of making a claim or objection, you must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to do so. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to conduct any of the above transactions. All GCOM registration offices will open Monday to Friday from 8 to 18 hours, Saturday, Sunday and holidays from 10 to 14 hours. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins. Tonight, CARICOM refers the Secretary General dispute to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Cuba blasts the US at the UN over an energy siege. NATO leaders gather in Ankara amid Trump's doubts about alliance unity. And AI is wiping out graduate jobs in Hong Kong. We will begin in the Caribbean. The Caribbean community has agreed to seek an advisory opinion from the Caribbean Court of Justice over Trinidad and Tobago's objection to the reappointment process of CARICOM's Secretary General. The decision was reached during a heads of government retreat on July 6. The current arrangement remains in place until the court rules. CARICOM described the move as consistent with its commitment to good governance and institutional improvement. Tensions have flared on the floor of the United Nations General Assembly after Cuba accused the United States of imposing an energy siege on the country. Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo reports.
We will be heard and we will not be silenced like your own people, so pound away.
I'm sorry, this is a point of order. A testy exchange between Washington and Havana playing out on the floor of the UN General Assembly. Cuba's foreign minister came to New York to address what he said is the United States' war against his country.
The United States is carrying out against Cuba a multi-dimensional, non-conventional warfare. Added to this, there is now an energy siege, which is equivalent to a naval blockade, which is also an act of war.
Sustained applause after his speech, another sign Cuba has wide support from the world. The Group of 77 in China, the world's largest bloc of developing nations, more than 130 countries, backed Havana. Then the U.S. ambassador took the floor, and the tone changed.
There's a lot of talk today of an embargo. And indeed there is one. It's staring us all in the face. It's the embargo the Cuban regime mercilessly imposes on its own people decade after decade after decade.
When Waltz started accusing the Cuban government of corruption, repeated points of order.
Es usted un mentiroso, señor Waltz.
You are a liar, Mr. Waltz.
There was no resolution voted on in this meeting. That will happen later this year. But the contentious exchanges clearly showing the deep tensions that remain between Havana and Washington. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations in New York.
NATO leaders are gathering in Ankara for a summit that is expected to be dominated by defense spending and alliance unity. Al Jazeera's Sinel Kosuglu reports.
Pointed with NATO, and frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend.
After weeks of uncertainty over whether he would attend, U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Ankara for the NATO leaders' summit. For President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, hosting the summit offers a chance to reset ties with the U.S. and push for the delivery of 6 F-35 jets Turkey has already paid for. He is also expected to ask for the lifting of sanctions imposed over Ankara's purchase of Russian missile defense system.
Mr. Trump has also given us his word on this matter, and now in the meetings we will hold at this leaders' summit regarding the F-35s, I know that we will positively reaffirm the commitment we received from him earlier. Mr. Trump has always stood by his word on this issue.
The U.S. president has repeatedly accused European allies of relying too heavily on Washington's military spending. But Trump also questioned whether Washington's investment in NATO is worth it.
And we don't have to spend any money. We could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different.
NATO's answer is to boost defense production through closer industrial cooperation.
To meet the challenge, we need a transatlantic defense industrial revolution. The hum of machinery must become a roar. Now, that sounds dramatic, but it can be done.
The U.S. has increased defense spending in Europe since Russia's war in Ukraine, which remains at the center of the summit. President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his country's increasing defense needs.
Of course, we see that the weakness of Russia, we feel it, but it's not enough. We need more pressure, more anti-ballistic, and more sanctions on Russia.
The first day of the NATO summit was about strengthening the alliance's military capabilities, but delivering on those plans will require political unity, as President Trump warns allies that who don't stand with the U.S. and who do not increase their military spending cannot expect unconditional U.S. support from Washington. Sinem Kösoğlu, Al Jazeera, Ankara.
Job vacancies for university graduates in Hong Kong have fallen by 60% over the past 3 years. The trend reflects growing concerns that employers are now using AI to perform work once handled by entry-level staff. Al Jazeera's Laura Westbrook reports.
Tesluk is set to graduate from the University of Hong Kong in a couple of weeks. The 24-year-old studied maths and computer science, thinking it would serve him well when he entered the job market. But he says across the tech sector he hopes to work in, graduates are being squeezed out by artificial intelligence.
Well, if you use it for all the basic stuff, now all the entry-level positions, how could the beginners, how could they learn from the ground up? That's why a lot of these entry-level positions, they have ridiculous requirements such as 2 to 3 years of experience.
Tim applied for dozens of jobs and counts himself lucky to have landed a part-time internship as a web developer. The number of full-time job vacancies suitable for university graduates in Hong Kong fell by 61% between 2022 and last year. Roles in IT and administration saw the sharpest drops. Recruiters say it's partly due to the overall economic conditions and the advent of AI as companies rethink where to allocate their money.
There are questions around this entry-level work, called the grunt work, the financial modelling, the analysis. These are areas where AI and the tools that support it are most widely deployed.
But he is warning of the long-term impact. The fear is that hiring fewer graduates puts the talent pipeline that produces future managers at risk. Cyberport's AI Supercomputing Centre, which provides support to universities and some agencies, is part of Hong Kong's strategy to attract talent as the city looks to increase its research and development capabilities. Universities in Hong Kong are introducing new programs in sectors like AI. In mainland China, major universities have scrapped courses deemed less aligned with the future labour market. Universities are trying to adapt, launching new programs that develop AI skills. But graduates already feeling the effects on the ground say this isn't addressing the challenges they're facing now. They tell us the first step of the career ladder is getting harder to reach. Tim says he's self-learning more about AI and the artistic side of website development.
AI can statistically infer oh yeah, this is the font size that most people use for this purpose. It feels very mechanical to me. There's just a human element that cannot be captured by AI so far.
He hopes by embracing skills that are uniquely human will make him stand out in this rapidly changing market. Laura Westbrook, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
Thanks, Dominique. This brings us to the end for regional and global news coverage. Up next is the Free Debate Forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.